and welcome to another Ask Your Mentor Anything live, weekly live. I'm taking some weeks on vacation, the last couple of weeks. So we are back right now with Anna Lewoc. Anna, thank you so much for accepting my invitation, being here with us today.
Thank you for having me.
How are you?
It's a pleasure. Oh, I'm okay. I'm pretty tired after the whole week, so I hope that this will be, a great segue into the weekend for me, because I'm starting my holiday on Saturday.
Congratulations, amazing. Yeah, you're going on sailing. We had that discussion earlier. So for those that you are watching us for the first time, those are weekly live sessions with people that are translators and language professionals or in general related to marketing issues, experts, and they are joining us here live with you to ask them anything. So take this opportunity to ask Anna anything related to her background, of course, our translation business, and the actual topic, which is how to get the most out of online conferences. And there is a reason why we chose this topic that we're going to disclose you right away. Before we continue, please use the comments below and let us know where are you watching us from. I see people joining us. We are live, Anna, right now on LinkedIn, Facebook pages, Facebook private group, the Mentoring of Translators, and of course on YouTube. So let us know where are you watching us from, and if you have any plans for vacations. And of course, if you have any questions for Anna, use the comments below and you can ask us anything. Let us know also if the sound of the picture. Hello, ladies. Use the link below or above where is the description box of this live for StreamYard, so as to be able to see also your names. I think Dorota, is that you? Let us know. And we will start right away by introducing Anna for those that you might not know. Oh, Helen. Hello, Ellen Singer is here with us. Hello, Ellen.
Oh, hello, Ellen.
Ellen is an ambassador of the TLC Translation, your conference, but we're going to discuss that in detail, the upcoming conference. Hello. Okay, so let's start. Anna, would you like to introduce yourself to those that might not know you already? I doubt, but still.
Oh, I'm sure there is a lot of people.
There are 2,000 people in the group only. Yeah. So
yes, 2000 is like, yeah. No, but anyway, my name is Anna Lewoc. I'm Polish. I come from the town of Białystok in Poland, but I live in Warsaw, the capital of Poland. And as far as my professional life is concerned, right now I'm physically in the office of a translation agency where I work as a project manager. Part-time, I'm also a freelance translator specializing in medical marketing and IT marketing. I also teach English. I'm also an academic lecturer. I teach people about CAT tools and machine translation. And most of all, I organize a conference for the translation and localization industry, which is simply called the Translation and Localization Conference. Right now, this year, we're having this is the 9th year the conference has been around. And since last year, I'm the head of the organizing committee for the English part of the conference. So, well, that's about my professional life.
I have so many questions about the conference, but let's keep it at the end so as to share also the link. People would like to join if they have more questions, so we can conclude this live with this event and share more details. But guys, I see Dorota, Kenneth. Hello, Kenneth. Kenneth says hello to Anna and Virginia. He's watching us from YouTube. I don't know, Anna, if you see the comments on the right screen.
Yes, so I do.
Okay, so guys, if you have any questions for Anna, use the comments below. And of course, we're going to start with your background in detail, because usually when someone is hosted for the first time here in this initiative, we ask them a bit for their background, because those are the most common questions we get from our mentees as well. So usually they're curious for your background. How did you start out? And if you remember, how did you get your first client?
Sure. So, well, first of all, I studied applied linguistics at the University of Warsaw. And actually, let's get a bit further into the past, because actually I got interested in translation when I was about 11 years old, and it was the Harry Potter mania in Poland. And the books were translated into Polish by a translator who also included some notes at the end of the books. And I thought that it's so interesting, to be able to translate books, and it's a bit like a riddle, you have to think about, all those meanings that you need to take into account. And so that interested me a lot. Well, then for some time I wanted to be an actress. Then again, I decided to study applied linguistics. Yeah, really. I decided to study applied linguistics. I studied English and French. And when I graduated, and actually during the studies, I specialized in interpreting, which is kind of funny because this is the only job I don't do anymore.
It's the one that you studied, you mean?
Yeah. So I studied to be an interpreter, but actually I don't do interpreting after I graduated. So yeah, and
that's common. Not about interpreting, but in general, it's common to study something and then your career goes you somewhere. But I was curious also about how did you gain your specialization, because you have an IT marketing you mentioned. So I would really be interested to know how did you get in that specialization. But you didn't reply to us, did you? Who was your first client? Do you remember the paid one actually?
Actually, I don't really remember the first one, but I remember one of the first ones. I translated modification for World of Warcraft, the video game. So that was pretty interesting for me. Well, as far as IT clients, like after graduation, I know that one of my first clients was big big IT company who right now is part of Orange Group, and I don't translate for them anymore, unfortunately.
And do you remember how did you get those clients? How did
actually it was the husband of one of my colleagues from university works there, so and she recommended. Yeah, it was in my circle, basically. So
referrals through colleagues and your circle. So amazing. I'm always curious, in client acquisition strategies, as you know. So that's really important to know that we never need to neglect our friends and family and people around us. They should know what we've been doing. I was always... I don't know. I have the impression that you're a teacher as well. You mentioned that you do also teaching and you provide courses, but I don't know why I had that misconception that I actually started as a teacher. No.
I mean, I kind of started as a teacher, that's true, during my studies, right? So, because the thing is that applied linguistics at the University of Warsaw prepares you both to teaching and translation, careers, let's say. So first I was teaching, and translation was like the second job that I did. But, I've never really felt like a teacher, if you know what I mean. It's like, I like languages, I like talking, I like listening to myself talking, but teaching is definitely not my, number one vocation in life. But I think that for people who are just starting out, it's a great way to diversify your income. So even if it's a dry season in translation, then you can always, get back to teaching and get some, additional income in the dry season, right?
That's a great advice. I had the same, we can say, idea, and also the same path as yours. So I used to teach as well here in Greece, but I saw a great rise and a great growth in my business the moment that I realized I need to put all of my effort in one direction. So that was the moment that I was able to scale up my translation business when I left my safety net, if we can say. And but yes, in general, we have that perception idea in our profession that we need to have a safety net, that for some reason we won't be able to have a steady income through translation or something happens. But it's really normal. It's great advice, especially when you're starting out and you would like to have some steady income just to invest in your translation business as well. So thank you for sharing your story and how did you start out. So the second most common question is actually if you remember the moment that you actually felt safe from your income from translation, like if you had any scale-up moments in your translation career and so on.
Actually, I do so many jobs that it's hard to say, when I feel safe, because it's changing all the time. But I would say that I felt kind of safe with my income. The moment because the thing is that first when I graduated, I didn't start my own business just yet. I was, working like on the basis of an agreement. Then I started my own business, and actually the moment when I could pay all the taxes and all the social insurance and so on, that was the moment when I felt secure.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's a great starting point to feel.
Yeah,
that.
I mean, this is like the basics are done, and now everything else I can spend on myself. So,
do you remember if you had any strategy behind of that? If you have any good client that you got and actually you got that secure, who can say higher income maybe?
I would say that actually first, as I said, it's like, I combined teaching with translations, right? So I got, well, maybe not employed, but I cooperated with a language school here in Warsaw. And I had, the biggest part of my income then was from the language school, and the translations were just something that I did on the side, if I may say so. So yeah, but then I got more and more into translations. I got more and more clients. I don't have hundreds of clients like some people do, probably.
You don't need, to be honest. Yeah, you don't need if you have.
Yeah,
clients.
That's it. I usually have just a few, right? So who send me jobs every now and then. And one of the biggest clients I have had, and who guaranteed a bit of a steady income, not high income, but steady. So it's actually more important for me that my income is steady and not, high. So basically it was a publishing house, and the publishing house asked me to record courses in English. And this actually helped me also with my translation business, because when people saw that I was, recording courses in English for, IT specialists, then they thought, okay, so she must know, how to write about IT in English. So then they started to, send me jobs, and which is, kind of, well, I would say unusual, because, from teaching online, I went into translation in the same field. Right. So, but it's also a good idea to, to basically diversify and maybe try to go such ways where you don't really expect to find clients, the traditional way, because you never know who might need your help. Right?
I really like this advice that you just gave. Some people, they need to control everything, but sometimes life takes you there. And actually, you just answered our next question, which actually, how did you get your specialization? So by accident, by recording the courses in IT, people opened you the doors to actually start translating for IT and marketing and so on. So this is how you gained your specialization. And sometimes people, and my mentees, especially when they're starting out, they're so anxious or stressful to get a specialization and need to become specialized. And yes, there is a necessity nowadays, it's down, but definitely we need to take into consideration what happens around us. If there is an opportunity to get into specialization without actually forcing yourself to do so. So for the things that happened somehow by accident to you, or in a very natural way, if we can say, and you keep since then having the same specialization, is that correct?
Yes, that's right. Also, I mean, my specialization in IT was actually also, I don't want to say dictated, but kind of influenced by the fact that both my parents are IT experts. So, I've been around computers my whole life. So it was kind of natural. And one of my, I don't want to say it's a piece of advice, because it might not work for everyone. But basically, I noticed that the best things in my life happen when I just do them, like, oh, YOLO, go with the flow, and so on. So, when I just don't think too much about it. And I was actually just talking with a friend, 2 hours ago or something, and we were talking about, choosing the specialization. So it's actually, still in my mind.
It's a hot topic. It's
a hot topic, definitely. And we agreed that, some people are like, they graduate from university or something, and they are like, oh, I need to specialize in law, or I need to specialize in this or in that. But the thing is that, I think that we should all do what we are good at, which means that, it's like, if you like, I don't know, if you like playing video games, then maybe get into video game, localization. If you prefer to read about, I don't know, finances, then go into finance, right? Like, don't force yourself into a certain specialization if it's, because if it's forced, then I don't think that it really works.
I don't know if you listened to me talking about the three aspects, if we can say, you need to take into consideration when you're about to choose a specialization. Always what you really love to do, so that you mentioned already. What are you very good at as well? Because sometimes we might love, I don't know, literature, but we don't have it and we need more time in order to translate. That is not going to be profitable right away. So it takes time if you're not already good at this. And the third aspect for me would be also to take into consideration what the market needs nowadays. So even if you love something and you're very good at it, if you see that there are no jobs out there or a project that match, then it might be even harder for you to get projects and paid jobs in that. So for me, yes, those three aspects should always be taken into consideration, and always you should do something that you really love, because we're going to spend the whole life doing
reading about it, right? Learning about it. So that's why
course,
it has to be something you really, really like, because
we have something in common. You mentioned your parents, that they were in IT, and I started translating. Actually, my dissertation thesis was on diesel engines, because all of my family, they're engineers, maritime. So I had a background, and that it's not only influencing, as you mentioned, but also practically, they will be there for you to help you. So whenever I was about to ask for a term, they were able to give me a real answer, actually, that would help me and save me so much time of looking around. And also, I assume that you would have that practical help from your environment as well. If your parents were involved in the IT sector, you most probably had the first help, if we can say, like, how do you translate that? Or how do you call that? So it's also, from a practical aspect, very useful to follow something that you have in your environment or might be influenced, or actually get that practical help. Isn't that true?
That's true. Yeah, absolutely. And also, one thing is that you can get help, but another thing is that, you already know something about it, right? Just by being around people who work in that sector, right? So I also know a lot of people who became technical translators because their family members were engineers or basically dabbling in technology, let's say.
I always see the practical aspect myself. You see, I'm very practical. So yes, you have also helped someone in your agenda to ask them many times. So definitely, yes, you might also have heard things, but actually do not neglect the fact that whenever you struggle somewhere, you will have some help from an expert in that field. And that's, for me, is priceless. And it's the way to when you want to get into specialization.
Yeah, absolutely. So
we discussed about how did you get your first client, how did you gain your specialization, and how did you get into business, your several hats that you already have. Last question would be if you have any involvement in mentoring, and what is that? And of course, after that, we're getting into our topic.
Okay, in mentoring, I would say that as far as being a mentee, when I was still doing my studies, I was actually, I don't want to say recruited, but one of our lecturers actually asked me to help out with the translation. And it started a cooperation, which was like, on and off. Sometimes when he needed help, he basically, gave me a small translation to do, or a bigger one. So and he also, gave me a lot of feedback, which was really important. At first, when I opened the files, I was like, oh my God, everything is in red. It's like, what am I going to do? But then I actually got used to it. And I think that it really helped. So as far as, being a mentee and as far as being a mentor, well, when I work in the translation agency, we sometimes have employees who come from, who have just graduated or are still doing their studies, and I act as a kind of a mentor for them, because they, I need to teach them, how to use the tools that we use every day. I need to teach them the basics of, how to do sworn translations and so on, right? So like the best practices, I would say. So this is like extremely practical. And actually, also when I teach people at university, I also try to, maybe not to act as a mentor, because, I don't want to speak that highly of myself, but I try to keep everything practical so that when they, finish my course at university, they can go and I can cooperate with them, because this is actually what I think mentors do. It's, they prepare people for future cooperation. They prepare people for actually being that people that I want to cooperate with. Right?
Yeah, that's pretty practical that you have said already. It's pretty encouraging that actually started from the university that you studied, which something we lack in many countries. We don't see that happening, especially back then when we started out. And definitely calling yourself a mentor is a title that most probably will be attributed to you by others rather than you call yourself mentor. Usually is a title that someone else has given you because you have helped them. And this is how I see it myself as well. The moment that I was able to use such a title was the moment that someone else called me something like that. And definitely, usually, yes, the title is given rather than you go and you post everywhere.
Yes. Oh, hi, I'm a mentor.
Yeah, that's definitely not the case. And everyone who's involved in mentoring, they know that pretty well. It's a relationship that's getting built like every day and every year, and it's an endless process. And Ellen Singer is here with us, so she can even give us more advice, information on that as well in the comments. I see some comments. Vasily says, well deserved. Most probably there is a connection delay to what we were discussing already. So thank you, Vasilis. So thank you also for sharing your experience with mentoring. It's really important to know where we can find such opportunities, where we can find someone to help us with the practical advice that will help us to get established in the translation industry. And it's something that's missing from many universities and many countries.
Absolutely.
And I think that's really helpful to all of us. And I've been repeating myself the reason why I started those videos, and in general what I've been providing for free, voluntary and paid lately is actually the fact that I was missing when I started out. So what I was missing when I started out, I tried to fill in the gap the way that I could. Okay, one person cannot bring, I don't know, the whole change, but definitely that was my motivation and the reason behind whatever I've been doing so far. So let's start with our topic. Why did you choose this topic? Is your choice. So why did you choose this topic? How to get the most out of online conferences?
Yeah, basically, I chose it because, I've been talking to people who were forced to, join online events instead of in-person ones, since the lockdown started. And I noticed a few, let's say, trends that were like mentioned by those people in the, I don't want to say interviews, but like when I was just chatting with them. So basically at first there were, I would say, two trends. First, some of the people were very skeptical towards the online events and they didn't really want to participate in them, and other people were very excited.
Exactly.
Somehow this corresponds to the division between extroverts and introverts, but not necessarily, because the thing is that as an organizer of events, of online events as well, since last year, I would say that I don't want to say that online events are better or worse than in-person events, but for me it's a completely different formula of events. So that's why I chose this topic, because I wanted to show you some elements of online events which might be not obvious at first glance, especially that since I organize the conferences, I also participated in a course for event managers, so I was also educated in this way. Okay. Which is, so
you have many things to share with us, so we can't wait to hear from you.
yeah, absolutely. Okay, right. So basically, I'm going to start from a term, which is the term is mice. So mice, but not as the little rodents that live in the walls of the houses, but meetings, incentives, conferences, and exhibitions or events. So this is basically the name for the so-called event industry.
Can you repeat that? Meetings?
Meetings, incentives, conferences, and exhibitions.
Yeah, I've heard that before. Yeah.
Yeah. So there is even actually a magazine for event managers in Poland, which is called Mice, just Mice, right? And India. And basically, I always argue that, conferences are like the C in this abbreviation, MICE, right? But I would say that usually conferences have the elements of all the four, letters, of all the four abbreviated types of events. Because the thing is that a conference is first of all a meeting, right, of people from the industry, from different countries and so on. Incentives are, well, these are usually, in corporations when you get like a team building trip to somewhere, this is an incentive. But a conference can also serve as an incentive, as a motivation, let's say, for maybe your employees, maybe for yourself. Well, conferences, it's, the lectures, the workshops, and so on, and events or exhibitions. So conferences also have an element of, an exhibition, because you usually have an exhibition hall.
Yeah, definitely, I agree with you.
Yeah, and usually when we think about conferences, they have two main goals. So the first goal is, like, usually when people think about conferences, was the first goal, learning about new developments? Well, not necessarily, because for most people it's actually making contacts and gathering leads. So basically, gaining contact to people to whom you want to sell your services or products. Okay. And the thing is that in-person conferences, you usually just, either go around and exchange business cards, right? In lectures, you can, of course, ask questions and so on, but like, how to do all that in online conferences? So I'm going to start from the...
I have questions, but I keep to my questions, so the discussion going on. I have many questions.
And, oh my God.
Yeah, I have also questions from the side of an attendee and the presenter, because I was telling you earlier that since the COVID hit our industry, it was like back in April 2020, if I'm not mistaken. So I was a presenter at the American Translators Association, ATA, that year in October, and I was there presenter at the BP conference and the ELIA together. And thank you for invitation this year. I'm going also to be TLC. I'm so excited, actually. I see the benefits and the negatives, the drawbacks, if we can see in both ways. I see it's easier for me to participate in more events that way, because I present, for example, from the convenience of my home office, whereas to participate in many events would cost me more, would need more time blocking and traveling time and so on. Whereas when you do that from home, it's easier, less time consuming, and so on. At the same part, though, I assume that you're going to cover that. I don't feel that connection. I try to, but I don't feel that connection that I would by distributing or handing over a business card and having a chit chat at the networking live event that you organize pretty well yourself. And I had really enjoyed back then the conference. And also people, they remember you, they remember your energy. You already told me, I remember you, that you participate at the conference, either in a bad or a good way. Still, you,
of course, in a good way.
Yeah, but in general, I mean, you remember that person because they have left you some kind of memory or something that you remember them, their energy. And that is something that we need to put a bit of more effort when the event comes online, so as to be able to show that energy to other people, or to actually build relationships, if we can say. And this is like in one way nowadays, because even if they will come back live events, definitely, as I see it as an hybrid in the beginning, like half live, half online events, still we need to get, I don't know, in that process, to become familiar on how to build those relationships online. But that was my 5 cents. Let's go to you as an expert.
Sure.
So the first of all is how to network without physical business cards, or is there something else you would like to?
Yes, networking is, yeah. So networking without, yeah. So basically, as you probably can imagine, I'm going to mention social media. So basically, like the conferencing platform is one thing, but if you want to keep in touch with the people you meet at conferences, online conferences, then of course you want to exchange your social media, links or handles. So make sure they are up to date, so like your LinkedIn profile, especially, because this is the network that was built for professionals, by professionals. But also your Facebook profile and so on. You can share them easily, more easily in the chat box at a conference, at a networking event online than in person. But of course, you can also prepare a small website, like a business card website.
If you don't have already, you mean?
If you don't have it already. Yeah, if you have one already, then actually you can also prepare like a landing page. Like, let's say that, like my website, it's annalewoc.com. So I could prepare, annalevels.com/conference, for example, right? And then share that with people, and that would take them to my, virtual business card, right? Where they would have my.
That would include what different information that landing page would include that you wouldn't have in the rest of your website, like
it would
literally your business card online.
It would be condensated, I would say, because it's like on my website is not very sophisticated, let's say, but in such like a business card website, I would include just the same things that I would have on my physical business card. So like my full name, my email address. I usually don't include my phone number in my business card because I hate talking on the phone. So yeah, but my WhatsApp, maybe links to my profiles, and then of course a link to my website. So I would say that this would be a cool idea, just so that people can just have a look and then save it in their browser if they need it.
For the tech savvies, the QR code or something like that is even clever, but okay. I'm not that tech savvy. I know that really works well. Someone just scanned that and they get their details on their mobile or wherever their email.
And in the LinkedIn app, I don't know if you knew that, but probably, Virginia, you did. But the other ones, I don't know if you knew that, but in LinkedIn app, you can generate a QR code that takes people straight to your profile. So this is also really cool.
Have you done that?
I haven't, because I don't have the app, but I've seen people doing that. And
the app
it's
is
also
so clever. The app is so clever, and people try to using it, and I see a lot of change in the timings and days that people are getting into LinkedIn. We thought that LinkedIn is for working hours and working days, but recently this has changed. Even more people, because they have their app on their mobile, they chit chat or accepting connection requests or liking posts and things like that, interacting on LinkedIn even on a Saturday, on a Sunday. So this is the future.
Instead of scrolling Instagram, they scroll LinkedIn, right? Because it's like it has developed so much. But you can also, so as I said, you can generate the QR code to your profile. But one thing that I noticed in the app, which is really cool, especially for me, because nobody knows how to pronounce my last name. So there is this function where you can record the pronunciation of your name. So that's really cool. And it's like, and at an in-person event, you would have to ask the person to how do you pronounce your name again, right? So and on LinkedIn you just click and okay, that's how we pronounce the name, right? So that's something
that thank you for sharing that. Is integrated in most of the countries. So check out your profile and see if next to your last name there is a small sound icon. And if you click on that, there is a pre-recorded version of your last name. You can check it out and see if it works pretty fine. Mine, for example, was preset by LinkedIn. The way that's pronounced was good enough, so I didn't need to record it. But definitely check out if you have that feature, and also it would really make sense. And I'm going to check out the QR code, even though I knew it. I haven't done that yet. So many new features on LinkedIn every week. They're developing the app so fast. And additional to what you mentioned, so you mentioned already social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, of course, and the website, and a special design landing page on your website, which I find really clever and I hadn't thought so far. So thank you for sharing that, Anna.
You're welcome.
With us. I've seen recently a lot of people, when I participate in an online event like the Financial Success Summit, I was last month or last week, I presented at the Ukrainian Translation Interpreting Conference, the UT. A lot of people, they were sharing my presentation on a story on Instagram, and also they were adding me on Instagram. So sometimes, depending on the type of the conference, how loose or fun it's the type of the event, or more strict and more professional, people will find different channels to connect with you. So do not be surprised. What I was trying to say is that if many people try to connect with you to your Instagram and Facebook account as well, and that's a way of people to get to know you better if you're not there live with them. At least that's my idea.
Yeah, absolutely. And another thing is that, they can share in their stories, right, in their posts. One thing that, wait a second, there was something I wanted to say, but now I forgot. Okay, it will come back to me.
Okay, it is about Instagram, or it's about the kids?
It's about social media. It's about social media, yeah. Oh, yeah, I know what I wanted to say. This is also important, like generally for online events. If you're participating in an online event, then make sure that you know the handles of the event itself.
Exactly.
Like what's the name of the event on Facebook, what's the name on LinkedIn, what profiles you should tag, what's the hashtag, and so on. Because then when people are looking through the materials for the event, they will see your posts. So that's something that you can put yourself, out there in this way.
So I do that. For example, I know that ATA, they use a lot of Twitter. So I knew that I would be found through Twitter. I know that recently most of them are using Instagram as well. So they have a particular page on Instagram. So you need to find their name, as Anna mentioned, and a specific hashtag also to use in your posts and stories so as to be found from those that they're scrolling. So thank you for sharing, because we used to do that only for Twitter, but recently the events, because they turned online, they're using different social media platforms so as to be as visible as they can to people. So yes, Instagram is becoming more and more powerful. I saw that Utik had an account, BP conference that Chaba didn't use Instagram recently, he did. I don't know if you're going to use it. You are. I've been sharing your posts as well. So your conference is also on Instagram. So I've been sharing yours on the stories and a post, and I have a dedicated highlight on Instagram where I can save all of the different posts and related speakers to that event, so people, they can go to my highlights and they can scroll all the stories and posts related to that specific event, for example yours.
It's a bit like collecting the badges, right? Because for physical events, we collect the name badges, and now we collect the stories from Instagram. Right?
I love that. And this is something I miss from other social media. And I think that's the reason why Instagram getting over other social media, because it has this feature as well that people, they can go back and see a whole story of events, like saved in one particular space that LinkedIn doesn't provide that feature. Twitter doesn't, Facebook doesn't. So that's another reason why I think Instagram, takes a lot of space. So is there anything else you would like? So how to network without physical business cards?
Actually, another thing that I noticed maybe in the online events is that since, we're going online and we're not physically there, so it's all the more important to know how to present yourself. So basically, I would say that you need an elevator pitch. We're coming back to that. Who would have thought, right? So just, when you're participating in a networking event online and there's everybody is presenting themselves, then it's useful to know, to be able to say what you do in 2 or 3 sentences, in the style that, for example, on LinkedIn, you have this small box where you can just, describe what you do in a few words, right? So
the headline, we mean the tagline.
The tagline.
And hit our name, and usually it's a 10-second presentation, and it's pretty challenging because the space is so small there, and the length is specific, the characters number that you need, especially if you have different hats, as you mentioned, all different specializations. It's difficult to include everything in one sentence, but my suggestion would be at least keep it relevant to the event. So you don't need to include in 10-second presentation everything that you do, but be resourceful there and use the information that the audience or the people that you're going to present yourself are mostly interested in that. And of course, afterwards, they're going to visit your profile or website and find out more information.
Absolutely.
But let's hear that from you as well. So you mentioned the unique selling proposition presentation.
Yeah, so it's I call it the elevator pitch because it's the old school words are sometimes the best, right? And if you are already in the event and you're taking part in the networking, one thing that I would suggest is try to be an initiator. So try to, I don't want to say disrupt the whole meeting, but if there is a question asked to the audience, then, try to reply to it, try to be active. So, the times when we were just sitting in front of the screen and the camera is off and we're just listening, I think that they are long gone, right? It's we're kind of missing the human touch. And in my experience, we can actually network during, networking events online. We can do it as efficiently as in real life. We just need to be proactive. You need to initiate the contact. You need to start the conversations. And if you don't know how to start a conversation, then you can always, either refer to something that you can see around the person you're talking to. So at KTLC last year, we actually had a very, very nice conversation about music in the networking session, because one of the attendees was sitting in front of this giant shelf with CDs. And somebody asked, what are these behind you? Right. And the conversation just started, and it's, of course, it's not, it's not about like the job and like professional things, but still you get to know people, and then you remember them. Then you remember, oh, so this was this, let's say Pablo, who works for this and this company, right? And I remember him to that day because he had the CDs behind him.
Exactly. And also, you don't need to have in your mind to sell, either at an online event or an offline event. When you distribute your business card and where you network the way that Anna has been describing us so far, you don't need to have the end result in your mind. I'm here to gain clients. I'm here to sell my business and my sales. That's a big no. The way that just Anna described to us how to network online, the CD's example about the music networking, it's a great example to understand that people, in order to remember your name, you need to build that relationship. And that should be your goal when you network, either online or offline. I'm repeating, you need to build relationships just to have your name remembered. That's what Anna just mentioned. She remembers Pablo, that he works there and that, and he has that specialization because he had the CDs behind him. So that's a great example. And thank you for sharing that, Anna, because it's pretty important to know. And I think it's a great pitfall that many translators make, is that, and also that holds them back from networking, is actually they have in their mind that I need to sell right now. I don't know how to sell.
Absolutely not.
I don't go to start a conversation because people, they might think I'm going to sell to them. If you try initially to build relationship and start natural conversations without having that the end goal in your mind, then I think it also you will be able to overcome your fear or any hesitation about networking as well.
Absolutely, yeah. And what you said, that don't try to sell, it's really important, because people usually don't really like being sold things. It's like, I mean, if I go to a conference and I see that, or any other online event, and I see that people are basically pitching their services, it's like, oh my god, again, right? It's like, I mean, this is another translator, another legal translator or something, and I'm just not going to remember that. But if there is something, I mean, it's the same as in real life. I mean, usually you remember best and you work best with the people you know something about, right? So just try to start the conversation about anything else, right? Like, maybe you can ask them, oh, who likes dogs and who prefers cats, right? And there's a conversation.
Give us a real example. So how do you remember me? You mentioned that I remember that you attended TLC. You must probably have something like a discussion or something that happened. Or even
it's kind of funny because I remember that I had trouble with reading your last name because it's so long.
You see, Katsimpiri. That's
yeah, but it's you remember people for different reasons, right? Yeah. It's like for example, Diego from Creative Words from Elia, right? He has those like crazy glasses. So you remember him for the glasses,
right?
It's
like, that's branding.
Yeah, that's branding. Yeah,
that's brand. My name is Vincent, but the glasses, yes, that intentionally worn such a way. Yeah, I've been telling him, but they distract me. He keeps telling me that's why I'm wearing them.
That's it. Yeah. So we're like oh, the guy with a beard, and then it's Tony Rosado.
Exactly. Thank you for sharing that as well. So, did you include everything you would like to share about networking without physical business cards?
I think so. Yeah.
If you come up with any more questions, let us know. I have one question that just came up. I see you as a passion, and I doubt that you were an extrovert when you started out. Do you remember how did you overcome maybe any self-restrictions? Like you became like from a teacher to most of the most well-known conferences worldwide organizer. Is it natural that you have? Is it something that you had to work so as to overcome any limiting beliefs?
Actually, it's like I'm gonna tackle it from a side which you probably don't expect, because actually I was wondering the same thing. Like, how did I do it? Like, how did it happen that I'm quite a shy person? Like,
exactly,
naturally.
that's the impression that I get. This is why I ask you. You are involved in so many different things, and conferences is something that's for visibility reasons, something that gives you exposure. So I was pretty also. If we can say, had that question in my mind, but also for other people that they keep coming to me and they're telling me, I'm not that into visibility, I'm not that into exposure, I don't want to market myself, I don't want to go, I'm not an extrovert. So I get those questions from mentees and people that they're starting out, they want to get clients. So I think your story also will inspire other people.
Yeah, I mean, actually, I really recommend to everybody to take the Gallup Strengths Finder test. I took mine actually a few months ago.
Do you have any link to share with us afterwards in the comments?
I think so, yes. It's like if you just type Gallup Strengths Finder, like in Google, then you should be able to find it. And basically, so this is a test that, for those of you who don't know the test, it's a test that takes about, well, half an hour is like the maximum that it takes. It's pretty costly, but it's really, really useful. So basically,
Have you taken that?
So basically, you have those, 100 something questions, which you have to answer. Like, would you rather do? Oh yes, this is that one. Yeah. Okay. So you have to say whether you would do like A or B, or like how much do you agree with the statement that is on the top. And then at the end, you get a list of 34 talents, like the Gallup talents, that are put in the order in which you exhibit them. So basically, it turned out that my first talent, number 1, is includer. And so this means that I really like to make people feel welcome. And that's why I feel so good at my conference, because one of the like premises for the conference was that it's a platform for the whole industry. So we're not, it's not just for freelancers, just for LSPs, just for, the big fish, or just for the small fries. It's for everybody. And this resonates really well with my includer talent, because I want, all the industry to feel welcome at the conference. So that's probably what helped me to, to build it and to have, a feeling for it, let's say. And actually, if you want to know my last talent, like the 34th talent that I have is achiever. I'm totally not an achiever. So
can I ask you, what was the reason? Why did you take that test? And it was your motivation to get involved in that industry of conference planning and events organization?
Yeah, actually, why I took the Gallup test. Actually, I took the test because I got, some of my friends actually took it at some point, and also listened to an episode of a podcast about it. Okay. And then I just, I decided to just take the test and see what it says. And actually, I've been noticing more and more, if I may say so, symptoms of my talents in my everyday life, including my conference work. So, so this includer, my harmony, empathy, arranger, and the other talents that are there, it's actually, it just all clicked into place when I discovered them. So, yeah.
So one way or the other, you just realized that you were on the right path.
Yeah, that's it. And that's why, I realized I was on the right path, and I also realized why I enjoy it so much, even though I'm shy and I'm not an extrovert. Okay, maybe I am an extrovert, but I'm still shy. So yeah.
Okay, that's a great way. And I think that also happened by chance that you got involved. Just last question before we continue. So through your environment and your friends, is that correct?
In a way, yes. I actually was involved in the conference because during my studies, I really like things to be organized. So during my studies, I was like the self-proclaimed representative of my study group. And one of the teachers just, recommended me as a this arranger, let's say. She recommended me to the organizing team of the conference, which was already, like a thing back then. And they just hired me. First, I was an assistant. Like, I replied to emails and so on. And then I got, more and more involved until last year, the previous head of the organizing committee, so Agener Hoffman-Delbor, he decided he doesn't want to be the head anymore. He wants to be the wise old man, or old wise man, whichever one works. So I became the head because, it's like I really feel good doing that. And well, that's where I am right now.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing that. I also find those stories as a motivation to other people and inspiration to start something that they might be thinking and so on. Thank you for saying that. So let's continue. How to squeeze the lectures like a lemon.
Yes, how to squeeze the lectures like a lemon. So basically like this.
Yeah.
Apart from that,
problem. I can admit that, because there's so much information when you are online that it's difficult to consume. And whereas when you're live there, you just have your time schedule and you have scheduled which ones are you going to attend. So it's pretty clear what you're going to do. When you're online attending an event, you know that you will be able to squeeze in like more than one, and at the same time, or you need to schedule time afterwards to even what's even more. So for me, yes, it's pretty, if not overwhelming, pretty difficult to do so. So I would really love to hear you.
Yeah, so actually that was the first point in my notes, that we just have too many things,
Exactly.
everything is going online, like what to do. It's like,
Exactly.
and I don't want to sit in front of my computer for 16 hours a day, listening to, various events and so on, right? So basically what I would recommend, that actually you really need to cut down on the number of events and of the sessions that you take part in. For a single event, I would say that the strategy of just, having the schedule, maybe not printed out because, trees are dying, so don't print it out, but have it on your, on your computer and just mark the sessions you want to take part in. Even if it's like 1 or 2 sessions a day, then make sure that you really participate, right? So a good idea here is to read up on the sessions beforehand. So, see what is going to be interesting for you. Another way that helps you make sure that you are actually there is when you read up the abstracts, especially for conferences, or the summaries for other kinds of events. Note down the questions that you might have for the speaker beforehand. So like after I read the abstract, like, oh, what may I ask the speaker, right? So it's like a bit like we're doing right now. You already have had some questions prepared for me, right? So that makes it easier. Of course, you are right now hosting, right, the event, but even if you are an attendee, then just have the questions, written down somewhere close to you and ask them when there is the question time. It will also help the speaker, actually, because it's really sad when you first talk to a black screen because nobody has their camera on. And then like when it's question time, like the host says, oh, are there any questions? And there's like 5 minutes of silence. So
now that's a pain point. Now you mentioned a pain point. Like, I really love interaction. I really love when I present to see the faces of people. Do they understand? Do they find it difficult to understand? Is it something that they have heard before? Do you see curious faces or faces that were ready to ask a question? When I interact and I see the face, I'm able to ask also questions directly and get feedback and make it that interactive, which I really enjoy. And this is why I do live interviews. I could have recorded them, or I could have a podcast, but I don't really enjoy that much as I see people watching us live, or I see questions and comments coming in. I prefer the interaction, the live. And this is something I really miss. And I doubt it will be able, online events, to integrate, but take that into consideration, suggestion. At least a chat going live, because more and more online events, they exclude the chatting during the presentation, because sometimes the presenter is not even able to see the chat because of the format of the platform. And not to mention that the faces, of course, or even because of the time frame. The last time I participated in a conference, I don't want to mention which one, I didn't have enough time to actually get questions. So yes, I got questions during the networking event, but me as a presenter, I would really love to have it going on during the presentation and relevant to the presentation, rather than going afterwards to the table and waiting for questions that might come up. Yes, okay, eventually they did come up with questions, but I miss that feeling, and I don't know if you plan to integrate that in your event or somehow to try to.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to integrate the chat. We also are going to have a function, and this is actually another point that I have on my list, is also as an attendee, check out what the functions of the platform are. Because, for example, for KTLC, we're going to use a platform that also has a kind of like a forum, like a social medium. That is, live during the conference, and you can also ask questions there. So you don't have to wait, until the networking evening to ask the questions, but you can ask them straight away on the forum, even if you don't have the chance to ask them, in the chat during the talk itself, right? Another thing is that there are so many new let's say solutions for the communication, because one of the things that I really miss is the chatter, because when you go to a conference room, there is always like people talking between one another and so on, and it's like it's alive. And when you go to an online conference, there's like silence. and you have no idea who is there, right? So this is another thing. And there is, for example, such a solution as spatial chat. You can also use it for different kinds of events, and it tries to mimic the, the real life feeling of people actually being together with you in a room. So I really encourage you to check this out. As an attendee, as you mentioned, Virginia, you can also make sure that if you can have your camera on, then you do have it on. Because
if you have this feature, of course, because not only the events have that.
No, that's why I said, if you can, right? And if it's like, if your surroundings are, okay, because if you're listening to a conference on a bus, then probably, not the best idea. So yes, and well, another way to kind of put yourself out there is giving feedback. So, just try to approach the speaker then, right? And try to talk with them about their lecture, their workshop, right? Like what you liked, what you didn't like. So, don't be afraid. I'm pretty sure that 99.9% of speakers will appreciate that. And also you will be remembered better. So this can also land you, even if not a job, then, you'll just be remembered, and it's really, it's priceless.
I'm sharing in the chat the event link. So for those of you who would like to check out the Translation Localization Conference that taking place, as always, in Warsaw, is that correct?
Yes, although this year we're going online again. Yes, so but next year, hopefully, fingers crossed, it will be at least hybrid.
Hybrid, okay. In 2022, you mean?
Yes, in 2022.
Okay, so I sent the link in the comments for those that would like to take a look at the event and get the early bird and the register. And of course, there is my presentation there. You asked me for more automation and tools, so we're going to have an advanced presentation for LinkedIn there. For those that are advanced users or they would like to learn more about automation, join us. And hopefully in the future live again. So is there anything else you would like to add about how to squeeze the lectures like a lemon?
I think for the lectures we're good. Yeah.
Okay, and then there are the online. Sorry.
Lectures are not a very interactive format, so it's like there's only so much you can do, right? You have to actually go beyond the lectures to be able to squeeze them, right? This is like the bottom line for lectures.
Yeah, I have the same issues. So you have covered me 100%. I have the same issues, how to squeeze all of them. And for example, the last time with Tess Witty, we had at the same time, and Tess was telling me, I would love to attend your own, but we're presenting at the same time. So things like that. But definitely those things can happen even in live events. So even when you're attending, you need to have prepared your questions. You need to have prepared your schedule. You need to have a schedule of what lectures you are going to attend and sessions and so on. So definitely, it's not a new thing, but we need to neglect when we are at the comfort of our home and the couch and watching an event. Then we need to reconsider again such things. And last thing, okay, because you see, we're already 1 hour live. Did you realize?
Before I was like, oh my God, how the hell, how am I going to talk for an hour? And it's like 57 minutes.
I told you that's right. So let's squeeze in our how to make the most out of online workshops. That's a new feature that you have interactive workshops. Okay, that might be 3 hours, 2 hours. I don't know. If you have any suggestions for that as well.
Yeah, most of that is actually, the same as for lectures. So of course you can give feedback and, ask questions like afterwards, but also remember to try to be active, because like the worst thing from the perspective of a workshop, like host, let's say, the worst thing is that, you just talk to people and they don't react to what you're saying, right? So try to be, active during the workshop, try to take part in it. But one thing that maybe would be a little bit surprising to you is that I would recommend not taking part in every single workshop that appears. Just to choose your choose your battles, if I may say so. Because the thing is that as before, it's like you don't want to spend 16 hours in front of your screen, right? So you have to choose the workshops that you really want to attend and try to make.
How many workshops are you going to integrate in your event? Do you have an idea?
Yes, we are going to have 2 or 3 workshops in the English part and three workshops in the Polish part. So it's, and it's like we are going to divide them between the 3 days. So it's not going to be, like an all-day workshop. But so it will be easier to choose the ones that are really interesting to you. And especially that, there is like such a multitude of workshops right now. And again, anything that applies to lectures, read up before, like what are you going to talk about, prepare your questions, see what functions you will be able to use. Don't be afraid to share your screen. Of course, clean it up before, like, so that there is nothing embarrassing on it. But don't be afraid to share your screen during the workshop, because it will only help you, first of all, to be remembered better, and second of all, to actually learn something in the workshop.
And I find more polite, to be honest, because I can see it from the side of the presenter and the side of the host and the side of the attendee. It's more polite to actually open your camera and be there. Because that shows some respect of that person that is being there 3 hours, for example, 2 hours of how long is the workshop presenting to you. Definitely, you will be able to make the most out of it, like in part of networking, but also learning. Because you have the open camera, you're there committed, and you ask questions and people, they remember you. So for many reasons, I see it as a positive thing for you. Is there anything else
absolutely.
to add? Yes.
Yeah, I would say, I think that this is it. There is also like the part about exhibitors. So if there is an exhibitor room at the conference you're attending, then, again, read up, do your homework, right? Who's going to be there?
Will be exhibitor room in your case?
Yes.
Okay,
We're going to have a really big exhibitor room. Usually at in-person events, we have the exhibitors in the same place where we have the coffee. So in online events, unfortunately, it's not possible. But but there will be a lot of special offers that the exhibitors will have for you. So this is something that, pay attention to that when you're at a conference, because you can really strike a very nice deal with the conference offers. And, if you have a company and you have something to sell, maybe try to even become one of the exhibitors at conferences.
Can we have the option, Anna, when we are attending an exhibition room live, for example, if I was there live, not online, I would just walk around and most probably start conversation, even though I wasn't right away interested in something, and might gain an opportunity to buy something or get a great deal. But I wouldn't go focused. Is there any way that we can have such chit chats online and go walk through and people see us? How does this work online? Or we need to book an appointment with the exhibitors and so on?
Actually, right now, as far as I know, most of the online conference solutions actually enable something called a virtual booth, so that you can, it kind of mimics the real life exhibition booth. So you basically come into a video chat with the exhibitor, and you can ask them about, about their offer, about, whatever questions you might have. It might be one-on-one, it might be one-to-many. Also, quite often exhibitors have their own showcases during conferences. So at KTLC is going to be like that. Some of the sponsors will have online showcases where you can just listen to what they have to say, maybe ask some questions on the forum, right? So like with everybody present. So it's also useful to participate in that, especially if you really want to learn more about different solutions. And I think that this is the closest that we get to a real life experience of an exhibition hall, just taken online to the virtual world.
I'm always so curious of the platform that you're going to use. I've been participating in so different conferences, and each of them they're using different platforms. And for me, I really like it, to be honest. I really like to learn such things, but save some time also to become familiar with the process, to learn about those things, what link you should click in order to attend a networking event, what link you should click on to attend a specific session. And my suggestion to you as an organizer, as an attendee and presenter, would be if you can keep it as simple as it gets. You will get the most of attendance, because that's also my reason. If I have skipped some parts of online events in the past, was the reason because I found it too confusing and I was working at the same time, because that's the main pitfall. we don't block the time for online events. Like if I was going there live, I will be for a whole week or 5 days on vacation or just for that conference there. I might accept some emails at some point or getting some calls, but that's it. Whereas when we do that from home, we, even if we want it or not, we will be there working at some point and might have also at the same time in another screen working on a project and another screen watching the conference, which really doesn't work, makes it a bit more confusing, and we're not focusing and we're not enjoying that much. I don't know if you have any advice on that as well.
I would say that, it's useful to really block out at least, maybe not the time for the whole conference, because, it's like you might not be in a situation that enables that, but at least for part of the conference, you should really block out the time and make sure that, you're doing only that. Because actually when you're multitasking, you are not like, you have the impression that you're doing two things at the same time, but actually you're not. Your brain is just jumping really fast between the two things. And then you are not fully present at the virtual conference, and you are not fully present at your job, right? So it's like...
Exactly.
Yeah. And it's, conferencing is also part of your job, right? So
should something be repeated. So if you can elaborate a bit on that as well. So what did you just mention?
Conferencing is a bit of your job. Yeah. Because, you're like, whether you want it or not, if you're being active at a conference, then you are kind of, building your personal brand. You are also learning new things. So, the same way you go to, a training event, the same way at a conference, right? You're learning new things. And this is also like you're getting better at your job, basically. You're getting to know new technologies, maybe some new solutions that you might use. And so on and so forth. You're also networking with other people. You might meet some, new contacts, which might be useful at your work. So even though we tend to think about conferences, as something we do for fun, it's actually part of our work.
How amazing is that to actually get so much fun, but at the same time get a CPD certificate, because some associations, they need that. So those hours that you're attending a conference can be counted at CPD, continuous professional development hours. At the same point, you practically learn. I always leave a conference or a live event or online event with something new that I have learned that I didn't know before. So definitely take this opportunity to actually get CPD credits, to learn something new, to network the way that Anna has been describing for over an hour here with us. So go back and watch the recording if you missed the actual live and find out ideas, practical solutions on how to make the most of online events nowadays. And actually, for me, branding and marketing, because you mentioned that as well, I need to encourage all the people. It should be part, because they keep telling me I don't have the time to market myself. I don't have the time to spend on social media, but that should be included in your working hours. Like you include administration tasks, time to be completed and so on. Marketing should be, again, into your, if not every day, weekly or monthly plan. And you should devote some time, and conferences definitely should have that part as well in your, for me, yearly plan. So I plan like 3, 4, 5, as many as I can. Nowadays with online events, we can even participate in even more for the reasons that I have already mentioned. So definitely take this opportunity, as Anna mentioned, to get all of those benefits by just having fun with other colleagues nowadays online, and hopefully in the near future live as well. So Anna, thank you so much. That was it. I hope that you enjoyed as myself this live.
Absolutely, I did. Thank you for having me.
Is there anything else you would like to add before we close this live?
Oh, I would like to invite everybody to join us at the KTLC event. The link was sent by Virginia.
I have shared the links. Yes, I have shared several links, but definitely the KTLC is the one that we're discussing about. So definitely take a look. I'm going to share again here in the screen. So this is the link, okay, translation/conference.com, KTLC 2021.
Yeah, the rest of the link is like for the speakers, right? But it's just translation-conference.com. So, there is also like the Polish part of the conference. So if you buy a ticket, then it enables you to take part in all the, lectures, workshops.
This is the first time, Anna? Is the first time that you're doing this division like Polish and English?
No, actually, before these were two separate conferences. So yeah, I mean, they were both organized by us. They were like half a year apart TLC was in March, and KT, so the Polish conference, was in September. And then we moved both conferences to the autumn, to September, because of COVID, because we couldn't organize the conference in March 2020 because of the restrictions. So we moved it to the autumn, and it has stayed like that. And the conferences are now, together in the same dates. And to make things easier, we just decided not to, divide them in any way. It's just you buy one ticket, you can go to lectures in Polish as well if you need to.
So we have shared in the comments the link to join this conference. If you have more questions about the conference, definitely reach out. Anna directly is such a kind person, not during her vacation, but after that, she will be happy to answer any of your questions. And of course, you will be able to see Anna there online right now, but hopefully in the future live as well. And in general, the hosts are so kind. I cannot forget that you were so kind and so personal. All of you, all the organizers of TLC, and this is something that I will remember. And I still have your cup. I should have right now with my coffee. I forgot it, but next time. And I have said some other, so I can't wait to see all of you. I will be talking about automation and tools about LinkedIn. So join me live there. I would love to see you and answer all of your questions. And if you have questions about the conference, you can reach out directly, Anna. And of course, I have said some other speaking engagements of mine, like this week is going on the Ukrainian translation conference. Go and check it out if you still have time. And
it's also really cool. Check it out. Yeah,
it's different. It's totally different. This is why I'm sharing. I don't see it as competitors. It's totally different. The essence, the background, the actual topics of the sessions.
The atmosphere, right? Yeah. Because the Ukrainian conference, it takes place in a camp in the middle of a forest.
I can't wait.
It's so cool.
Yeah, I would really love to be there live this year because of the restrictions traveling. I was afraid to commit traveling there, but I presented there live, and it was fun to see my face in front of a screen from the photo people sent me. Yeah, it was amazing. And of course, I've been sharing here an academic one because recently I got a PhD candidate, and I've been presenting also the results of my surveys that I've been running for my MBA and my PhD. So I will be presenting in September the results and an academic paper on my MBA thesis, which was on client acquisition strategies for language professionals. If you're attending such events, I would love to see you there as well. It was to take place in Portugal, but it will turn around online because of COVID. And last thing I would like to share is a survey, because I really would love to know your background and what gaps you have when it comes to LinkedIn content creation this time. So I'm creating some pretty fun events for you as well, and the content, of course, of my presentations. So it's 5-minute survey. It will not take you more than 5 minutes. I would really love if you could give me your feedback. It's anonymous. You don't need to share any personal information there. Just, okay, I'm curious about what you need to learn more about LinkedIn, and what is you feeling that you do not know yet about LinkedIn, so as for me to create the best material for you to fill in that gap as well. Anna, thank you. It was such a pleasure and honor to have you here. I wish you success as always with TLC in September. I will be there, of course, to support you and attend such a great event. I can't wait for the live event, hopefully in 2022.
Neither can I. Thank you for having me again. So I also wish you and everybody who listen a lot of, luck at online events mainly, but also, like generally, like, it's the summer. Let's just chill a bit, right? And relax. The weekend is coming.
Definitely. Winter is coming. So I wish you great vacation, Anna. Let's keep in touch, and I would love to have you in the future as well here live. Thank you, all of you guys, that you were here, like how many? 1 hour and 12 minutes. Some of you just 1 hour skip and then you leave, but thank you for being here. And if you're watching the recording, use the comments below. You can tag me or Anna. Anna is a member of the Mentoring for Translators group. So you can tag Anna if you have any more questions watching the replay. You can use the hashtag replay or reach out to Anna directly. Anna, what is the means that you would prefer to be in contact with people? How would you like to be contacted? Through the email? What is...
Yeah, it can be the email. So it's my email is anna@annalewoc.com.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very easy. You can also find me on Facebook or on LinkedIn. On LinkedIn, I take a few days usually to reply, but on Facebook it's pretty instantaneous.
So you
just
can use
find me
all
there.
those means. Yes, let's keep in touch. Let's start building relationships. And next week we are having our monthly mindset session, because once per month, Anna, we host here in the weekly live one related to mindset session, because I was asked to integrate more mindset elevation, okay, and topics to cover. Join us next Friday with Luna. Can't wait to see you all. Anna, such a pleasure. Have a great summer. You stay here with me. Thank you guys for staying here with us for over an hour, and see you next week. Bye-bye for now.
Thank you, everyone.